Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode.
Okay, now it's pouring. This is going to be the noisiest episode. It's just funny how many noises there have been. And can I stop you? I am not plugged into the microphone.
Enzo. Shh. Quiet.
Are you there?
So what I like about the project bags is sort of remembering rotted. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Marsha.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm sitting here out in the garage, drinking a cup of tea in the 2U's mug you sent me. So cute.
I know. Isn't that darling?
Yes, it has our logo on one side and doing our part for World Fleece on the back. It's very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I had those made, and there's two of them. It's funny, I was laughing. There's two mugs for the 2U's.
Right.
So maybe we'll bring them to Stitches and drink our morning coffee out of them.
Yes.
Or our afternoon wine out of them.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. That way we can just pour from our room and then walk around.
Yeah, because they're white ceramic. Nobody will know what's inside them.
Well, if they look down, they'll know. But
yeah.
Well, bourbon or tea.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought you'd appreciate. I thought they were really cute.
Yeah, so cute.
Yeah. Anyway, so if people want to know about, what I did is I went to what was the website I use now, Kelly?
Vistaprint?
Vistaprint. On Vistaprint,
Yeah.
I discovered that you can just have mugs imprinted with anything you want, even like photographs. And so I ordered them, and they both were sent to Kelly's house. So I'll pick mine up when I'm down there at Stitches. But anyway,
which is so close.
I know.
A week away, less.
So Kelly, usually I save this for the end of the podcast, but I am excited because I'm going to Madrona this weekend. It actually started yesterday, and it's actually called Madrona Fiber Arts in Tacoma, Washington. And I'm going down on Saturday with my friend Kim. We're going to spend the night. So we'll have most of Saturday and all of Sunday.
Oh, that'll be cool.
And I've already been contacted by one listener. We've exchanged phone numbers, so we are going to try and meet each other down there at the show.
Oh, fun.
I'm not taking a class, but Kim is, so I'll have some free time. And then that's this weekend, and then the next weekend is Stitches. So I fly in on Thursday, and I'm assuming you're picking me up at the airport.
Right.
I was about to say, and you're going to pick me up at the airport. I'm assuming you're...
Yes, I am.
I know you're picking me up at the airport. So, and I don't remember, Kelly, are you taking classes at Stitches?
No, I don't have a class.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anyway. Well... So I'm excited about that. So when I come down for Stitches, then I'll get my mug.
Yeah, I'll bring it.
And drink out of
it. We just won't say what
we won't say what's in it. Yeah. Anyway, so do you want to just jump right into project updates?
After the noise of the garage door closing, yes. Now Robert's going to shave his head. Outside by the garage.
We're having a rough start with this episode, I have to say.
For listeners, I'm in the garage because Robert was sleeping. So I couldn't use the normal area where I usually record. So I came out here to the garage, and I have the garage door actually closed. So I'm like closed into the garage bay door is closed. I'm closed into the garage, and I'm getting all set up. And pretty soon Aunt Betty comes out and starts laundry in the laundry room, which is right next to the garage where we're recording. And of course, between the garage and the laundry room is a wall, but I mean, like, I can see through the boards. There's no insulation.
Yeah. It's like a uninsulated garage wall.
Right. Yeah, it's just boards with about a 1/4 inch between most of them because the wood has shrunk over the years and stuff. And then Robert wakes up and he comes out, and we're going out to dinner tonight, and so he's going to shave his head. And of course he comes outside to shave his head, and he shaves his head right where the outlet is, right by the garage. So you'll probably hear the buzzing of the clippers, and you probably already hear the whirring of the washing machine. So Fridays are not going to be our regular recording days again.
Yes, this week was a little challenging to find a date to record, and then
Wednesdays are much better because nobody's home but me.
Yes, well, and we were laughing before we started recording. Kelly and I were laughing that she has quite a large house and a large piece of property, but there's no place she can go today to be by herself.
Yeah, well, and if because the rooms are big, they're also echoey, and so that was another reason for trying to come out to the garage. So I've got, instead of pillows behind my microphone, I've got bags of fleece behind my microphone. So the trials and tribulations of the everyday podcaster.
Yes, yeah, okay.
So yes, let's go ahead and get started.
So let's take a deep breath, and we'll just start again about project updates. So do you want to start?
Yes, because I finished something.
I know.
I was going to say my first finished project of 2019, but I don't think it is. But it's the shawl that I was making. The Twin It Up Mystery Knit-Along shawl is done. The ends are woven in. It's not blocked. I've been wearing it over my shoulders all day today because it's a little chilly, and it's especially a little chilly out here in the garage. But I love the color. I love the feel of it. And I've been wearing it like up around my neck, Marsha. I think I can make a pullover out of this.
Oh, really?
I don't think I could wear it as a pullover just like over bare skin.
Right.
I don't think I'd last all day like that, but I think I could wear a pullover out of this. It's nice. This is our Replenish Rambouillet yarn.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask is, when did you cast that on? Because it seems like you knit that really fast.
December 31st. So it was It was a New Year's Eve cast on. I did knit it fast because you get a new clue every week. Yeah. And so I was like on a mission to finish each clue every week. And then clue 5 I got behind, but the 14th was our deadline. Yesterday was our deadline, so I got it finished by the deadline. So yeah, I mean that's 6 weeks to finish a shawl. For me, that's fast.
Yeah, that's fast. I think that's fast.
Because
you have to work too. You know, it's not like you can just sit on the sofa for 6 weeks.
I did get to sit on the sofa and knit for the first 2 weeks of the knit along because I wasn't at work yet. But until the 11th. Actually, I got a lot done on the 11th and 12th too, or 10th and 11th, whatever the days of our flex day were. I got a lot done those days too, and then we went back to work on, actually teaching classes the following Monday. So yeah, the 14th. So 2 weeks of vacation knitting, and then the rest of it's been after work knitting or before work knitting. So, and today I'm off. We have a 4-day weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but I didn't work on it today. It's been finished. So I really, really, really like it. I'm super happy with the color. I posted a picture on Instagram. I was wearing that teal green sweater that I bought like in 1997 from Eddie Bauer. And it's cotton, heavy cotton yarn, cables, oversized. It's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger as the decades have passed. I finally had to forbid myself to wear it to work because it's so comfortable. So now, but Yeah, it looks like my clothes are, my mom said when I wear it, it looks like my clothes are swallowing me.
But you like it. You don't want to part. It's nice for just wearing around in the house. And
yeah, it really is. And the green is the same color. It matches my shawl. Mm-hmm. So maybe I could, no. That doesn't make it work. That doesn't make it work eligible just because I have a shawl that matches it. But I did think that was cool because I do like that color. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I love the shawl. It's finished. I've also finished 2 charity hats along the way, and they're just out of the same yarn that I used to make that horse hood.
Oh, right.
And then I started a new project.
Oh, yes.
I cast something on. It's a pattern by Aroha Knits. Her name is Francoise Denoy, and I'm using Dragonfly Fibers, the yarn that I bought last year at Stitches. And when I swatched, I had too many stitches per inch, so I had to adjust. I had 6.5 inches per 6.5 stitches per inch, and the pattern called for 6 stitches per inch. So I'm making the medium in order to end up with the small. Mm-hmm. And here I go with my modifications. The pattern is designed to be knit in pieces, which I did not realize because I didn't read super carefully. And when and
that's another habit.
Yeah, before I bought the pattern, I didn't really read that carefully. I just liked the picture, so I bought it. Mm-hmm. And then when I started to read the pattern to cast on, I realized it was in pieces. And I thought, well, that would be okay. I'll just do it in pieces. I haven't done a sweater in pieces in a while, and so I started the first piece. And then something went wrong. You know how when you're starting to get the rhythm of a pattern.
Right.
Something went wrong in the first 5 rows, which is not very much knitting. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to rip it back. And I think when I rip it back, I'm going to figure out how to put it all together and do it seamless. Mm-hmm. So I got all the, cast on numbers, and I put it all together and kind of worked out a diagram of how I was going to do it seamless. And then I looked today at the pattern. And there's a whole section at the end of the pattern about how to do it if you want it to be seamless. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to do that for myself. It's already in the pattern. I just never looked that far. I looked at the charts. I looked at how many to cast on. I looked at the decreasing information. But I didn't go all the way to the end of the pattern where she had information about how to make it seamless. And the pattern is designed for the model or the sample is in cotton. So if you made this cardigan in cotton, you probably would. I mean, it would be a good idea to put it in pieces because then it's more stable.
Right.
You wouldn't have the sweater growing like that sweater I was just talking about. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm about an inch into it. It's got twisted traveling stitches and yarn overs, and you have to not very many yarn overs, but there's this row column of holes that snakes around in the lace panel or the twisted stitches panel, but mostly it's twisted traveling stitches that kind of curl back and forth, and you have to work them on both sides. So, like a lace pattern, a lot of times you do the pattern work on the right side and then you purl back. Right. And this is not like that. You do the pattern work on both sides. So on one side, I'm doing knitting through the back loop. On the other side, I'm purling through the back loop. That kind of thing. So that's been, it's been a long time since I've done a pattern that had patterning on the wrong side and the right side. And so that's been kind of remind yourself you have to, when you are working on the back, you have to read the pattern backwards, right? Instead of from right to left, you read the pattern from left to right. And you have to remember that a purl is really a knit, and a knit through the back loop is really a purl through the back loop. And so just getting my brain back into that kind of thinking has been tricky. And then I have 3 charts, right? So there's a side panel chart, like the left front, the middle of the back, and the right front chart. And so now when I go back on the purl side, then I have to read the right front chart, then the middle chart for the back, and then the left front chart. So as I was getting started on this, I thought, maybe it would have been easier to do it in pieces because there would just be one chart for every piece. But that's fine. Now that it's going, it's fine.
I had, do you remember the Hohi Locatelli Recoletta that I made, where it has lace, the collar is just all lace and the back is lace. So it was the same thing where I had 3 charts I had to follow. And I don't remember, honestly, now if I had patterning on the wrong side that I had to do, or if it was just all the right side. I think I had to. I don't remember now. But I do remember what I did, though, is I just blew up the little charts, made them bigger, and pasted them all onto a piece of paper. So they're all in one place. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't, because, I know the other thing is the way the pattern, the way the charts laid out, they weren't all on one page. So I had to keep flipping back and forth through all the sheets. So I just printed them out, pasted them on a piece of paper. So I just have them on one sheet. So.
Yeah.
Are your charts all on one page?
She has them all on one page, but
she does. Okay.
Yeah, my printer didn't work last weekend, so I just rewrote them on graph paper.
Oh, okay.
So I have them all 3 kind of arranged in a way that I like them. They're not next to each other because you do suck in it in between. So I have the left panel on top, and then the back panel in the middle of my page, and then the right side panel on the other page. I mean, the panels are, like on the left and the right, it's only 13 stitches wide. So it's not like I'm doing a whole lot. And then in the back, it's maybe 27 or 30 stitches wide. And then there's like a little cable-y crossing thing that goes up on either side of that. So, it's not that many. It's not that many stitches. So once I sit down and get into the rhythm of it, it goes pretty well.
Yeah.
The hardest thing was getting started. When you have a lot of stitches on your needle, and the cable on my needle is not all that long, and you have only about a half an inch of knitting, and it just doesn't want to move along. Kind of, and it's all twisted up, and now that I've got about an inch, maybe an inch and a half of knitting, it's starting to, hang down and not be all curled up on itself. So,
yeah. But
the color is really pretty. It's kind of a blue with black overtones. So, I really like it, and it's the silk, the dance rustic silk. So it's 100% silk noil, which I really like. Nice. Yeah. So that's my my project. That's really all that I've got going on in the projects. I have, a couple of inactive things. The weaving and the doily have been a little bit inactive, but I was really excited to get this sweater cast on last weekend. Yeah. So what about you?
Well, I have a finished project.
Woohoo! We both have finished objects. Yay!
I finished the cardigan cloud cover.
All right.
And it's done. And I can't remember when we last talked. I was trying to figure out the sleeves. They were too long. So remember, because I had left them on a waste yarn. Washed and blocked the sweater. Went back, put the buttons on, tried it on, and then the sleeves were I had to rip out about 4 inches.
Right.
I think. So, and it's funny how, when you get to kind of that point, and you're so close to being done, and you just can't make yourself do it. And it took me a couple of days, I think probably a week, where I finally, okay, sit down and just take care of that.
Yeah.
Because I do want to wear it to Madrona, and then also to stitches. So, I had to finish it. So it's all done. I even sewed my label. Remember I bought the labels that say handmade by me? I put that in it. So anyway, I like it very much, and it's very drapey, which is good. Because
that's what you wanted,
50.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. It's very drapey, and so the collar, because it does have, it's like 12 rows of stockinette, 12 rows reverse stockinette, and then 12 rows of stockinette. It doesn't really lay flat 100%. It does kind of want to, what am I trying to say? Roll back on itself a little bit, but not anywhere near as bad as if it had been 100% wool.
Right.
I think it would have been way too springy. Yeah. So anyway, that's done. That's exciting. Spinning, I did not, even though you gave me permission, Kelly, to start the camel silk merino, I didn't. I've been working on the spinning of the fleece. And I wanted everybody to know, too, that I went back and I looked at the label because, remember, I kept saying it was Wensleydale, Corriedale, and Merino. Mm-hmm. In the last episode, you said, I think it was Cormo. I went back and looked, and you have a very good memory, and your notes are correct because I looked at my notes and I actually do have the sheet of paper that was on it when I purchased it. But it's interesting, it doesn't say, I purchased this at the Black Sheep Gathering, I think. Didn't I?
Yes.
It nowhere on there on the official form does it say what the fiber content is. I mean, what is the makeup? What kind of is it? It doesn't say on there. I had to handwrite that on. That was Wensleydale, Cormo, Merino.
Okay.
Which is an interesting thing why they don't do that.
I think because it, like in the Monterey Wool auction, there's market fleeces, which they're just in there by fine, medium, coarse. They have them in the categories. And then they have the breed fleeces, which tell the breed. Mm-hmm. So I think the ones that aren't breed specific, they don't have that on the information. But the shepherds often will put that information on that. There's that other card that goes in, that maybe I have one of them and you have the other, because there's like a card that's on the bag and a card that goes inside the bag.
Yeah.
So like a sales tag and a show card, and so the information's on one of them but not on the other. Yeah.
So it must. Yeah. So anyway, I it's my handwriting, but I couldn't read my handwriting. Anyway, let's see what else. I'm almost done with the slack-tied scarf by Poststitch. I'm almost done with that. I have, so I'll probably finish that in the next couple of days. Last episode, we talked about that I want to make Snowflower by Heidi Kirrmaier, and that I was going to dye the yarn, but someone said I should probably get more yarn. So yesterday I ordered more yarn of just the natural color so I can break it apart and dye the yarn. And I thought, if I have more yarn that I need, I'll make a hat to go with my,
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So, yeah. So anyway, I'm just waiting for that yarn to come in and then think about what colors I want. I wanted to start another pullover, and I was considering all different kinds of wool that I had, because believe me, I have a few sweater quantities worth of wool in my stash. But what I decided to cast on with is, it's called the Croft Shetland Tweed by West Yorkshire Spinners, and I bought this when on the trip to Scotland. I went to the Yarn Cake in Glasgow, and that's where I bought this yarn. And I thought, it's time that I start using that. I need to start using that yarn. So
that's kind of how I felt about the sweater I cast on last weekend. Yeah, the Koru. It was like, I want to use that yarn. I mean, I've used the yarn that I bought at Stitches last year, some of it, but I really wanted to use that yarn. Like, I got to get something on the needle. So I understand that feeling.
Yeah, and I've used quite a bit of I made a sweater out of the neighborhood fiber company that I bought last year. I made socks for my brother out of the Leading Men Fiber Arts fingering weight. So I have used some of it, but it's been a year. I want to start doing something with the yarn that I bought in Scotland. And then I also cast on a scarf for myself called Shared Rib by Anne Hanson. And you could either make it a long scarf, it's like 54 inches long or something, or you can make it a cowl. And so I went back and forth between making it the cowl or the scarf, and I decided to make the scarf. And I'm using Old Maiden Aunt Yarns. It's a fingering weight yarn that I bought at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival last year. So two things I've cast on for my trip to Scotland. So
nice.
I'm excited about that. Actually, Kelly, I counted up my projects. I have 9 projects that are in the works. Do you remember those days when I couldn't have more than 2?
Yeah, and I only
what
have
happened?
3. Clearly I am a slacker.
Yeah. Well, but it's like, oh, I have 9 projects in the works. That doesn't mean they're all really in the works. A lot of them I haven't even touched. So my tea cozy, that's the color work, that's still sitting there. My rabbit, the Claire Garland rabbit, I have finished the body, but now I have to sort of press the edges and then seam it together and stuff it. But I do have the stuffing. I did buy the eyes, so it'll happen, but not today. And then this is not a project necessarily, but I put it here under my projects. Last episode, we were talking about hand-spun yarn. It came up with a listener had asked the question about combo spins. And then we were talking about hand-spun yarn and about when you knit it up into the fabric, can you tell thick and thin bits? How does it all look? Mm-hmm. Anyway, I just want to tell this story is that 2 days ago, I think, Ben and I decided we were going to go through all of his clothes and throw stuff away. And so in his drawer was a pair of socks that I had made him a couple years ago. You remember they were red, white, and blue. I dyed the yarn red, white, and blue because that's what he wanted for socks.
Oh,
and I knit up these
Mm-hmm.
socks. And I'm looking at these socks, and I thought, I remember dyeing, because I remember there's a whole question about how to dye red, white, and blue that you don't end up with purple and pink, I remember that conversation, but I'm looking at these things like, I must have bought this. It must have been blank yarn that I bought to dye. And I thought, I don't remember, was it? So I went and I looked at my project notes about it, and I spun that yarn. I could not tell. I thought it was actually commercially made yarn.
Nice.
And I know when I spun that yarn, I was a pretty new spinner.
Yeah. Well, and I remember when you were knitting it and you were saying, you were coming to some places that it was hard on your hands because it was a little too thick, and then there were other places where it was thinner, but when they're done, after I made those 2 or 3 years ago, probably, I couldn't remember. Yeah, which is worrisome. That's actually really worrisome to me that I can't remember this stuff. But I think
really
of all the
seriously
stuff
thought
you've made since then.
Oh, that's true. But I seriously thought it was commercially made yarn.
Nice.
I had to go look at my notes. So that's sort of a testament to thick and thin parts disappear.
Yeah. Knit with your hand spun, people.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, that's it for projects for me.
Okay.
I don't have anything. The only thing I will say is it does seem like I have a Heidi Kirrmaier obsession. I'm stuck in a rut. I mean, I've made how many of her sweaters?
Yeah.
I made at least 2 that I know of. And then I'm starting another one, and I've got Snowflower. Those are all Heidi Kirrmaier. So, because this Mountain High is Heidi Kirrmaier. So I'm in a Heidi Kirrmaier rut.
Thinking of getting in a designer rut. This is actually getting out of a designer rut. There is a new group on Ravelry. Mm-hmm. It's called the Solidarity Swap, and it sort of came out of the discussion on Instagram about racism and inclusion and exclusion, and on Instagram, out of that discussion, some people decided to promote designers and makers who are people of color, and they put together this group called the Solidarity Swap, and it's a pattern or yarn swap celebrating designers and dyers who are people of color or from underrepresented groups. The group has a designer bundle. This I thought was really exciting. We talked about how do you find patterns. This group has a designer bundle listing a variety of designers that might not have surfaced in other pattern searches. One of the things that was part of the conversation on Instagram was that, the hot right now and pattern searches and even, word of mouth referrals, people refer the things they've made and make more of the designers that they've already made. And so other designers don't come to the surface. And a lot of times those designers that don't come to the surface are people of color. So putting together these bundles was one of the parts of the conversation that was being had in that one Ravelry group. So anyway, they have this bundle. There's a bundle with designers, and then there's also a bundle with indie dyers, and then the swap will be people swapping yarn and patterns from people of color or other underrepresented groups, not necessarily from the bundles. So I thought that was really cool because it gives you a way to see patterns and makers that you might otherwise have not seen before. And then, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you, how do you find the Solidarity Swap? Is it just a group?
It's a group, yeah.
A group on Ravelry?
If you go on Ravelry and look in groups, and I'll link to it in our show notes too, so you can go and if you're interested in joining the swap, you can join the swap, or if you just want to take a look at their bundles, you can take a look at the bundles of patterns, and they also have a bundle of dyers, which I didn't know you could do that. I thought, for some reason, I only thought of bundles in terms of patterns, but I guess you can bundle lots of different things together. And then if people are interested in finding other designers and dyers and makers of color, another resource is the knitwear designer Jeanette Sloan. She has a website and a blog, but she has a page on her website, POC Designers and Crafters. Those two resources can, not that we don't like continuing to knit the designers we already know, like Heidi Kirrmaier, but it's kind of fun to find new designers and use their patterns.
This is just a little side note too about finding patterns. Is I was looking for patterns for worsted weight yarn and pullover worsted weight yarn, and doing my normal thing. This is how much my yardage is. This is my gauge, and and even if I don't put my gauge in, I just say I want worsted weight yarn. I find all the patterns that they pop up, and I start looking at them. And then today I had this experience. One of our listeners and the people that we see at different retreats and stuff, she'd posted a picture of a sweater that she just completed, and it's worsted weight, the gauge that I'm working with that I've just cast on, same needle size and everything, and that sweater never showed up in my search. And so I don't know, sometimes I don't know what we talked about this 2 weeks ago. It's curious to me, what do you put in to open the search up to find more patterns? Or does this, I can't believe this, but does the search actually go this is the type of pattern you typically select, so we're just going to show you patterns that are like that? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I never thought Ravelry's search did that. I thought it just gave you everything, but then it gives you it in an order, and the order, one of the ways that you can select the order, I think, is like most relevant or something like that. So how does it know what's most relevant? It might have to do with what's in your favorites. Yeah. I like to see recommendations from other people. A lot of times when I look through the search, I just get kind of overwhelmed. Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to just see someone has a pattern that they've used. But that's how you get kind of stuck,
Stuck, right?
I mean, that's exactly
true.
That's exactly how you get kind of stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Anyway, well, yeah, the mysteries of Ravelry. But anyway, so
we
I'll
have
take.
some
I just
resources for branching
as we
out.
were talking, I went to the Solidarity Swap and I joined that group. So I'm going to do some exploring in there and see if I can break out of my rut.
Yeah, the sign up for the swap ends on the 28th of February, and I'm not sure I'm going to do that. I'm not even good at gifts for people in my family, as you might have seen by Robert's post. of my Valentine's Day gift to him was a blank screen on Instagram.
Oh, I saw that and I didn't know what that meant. Is because you didn't do anything.
Yes.
That's what that means?
Yes.
Oh.
He's like, well, what? He's like, well, oh, I really like what you got me for Valentine's Day. And he said, I didn't post what you got me for Valentine's Day. And I was like, I didn't get you anything for Valentine's Day. He said, I know. Yeah, no, I don't usually. So, anyway,
I think this is called airing your dirty laundry.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I already aired my my aunt's laundry going in the background of the podcast. So,
anyway, okay.
All right. So I don't know if you've seen it or not, Marsha, on Instagram, but there's this thing called the February Challenge.
Yes, I have seen it.
And there's another one called the Yarn Love Challenge. They're kind of the same idea. They're little prompts, and then every day on Instagram, organized people put a little post that goes along with that prompt. And I was thinking I was going to do it, and then I forgot, and then the next day I was too busy, and then there was I would have had to do 3 to catch up, and anyway, I didn't do it. But I thought we should do it on the podcast.
Okay.
That way we don't have to be organized and put it into Instagram every day. We can just say it. And we had been talking about introducing ourselves to new listeners because we have some new, some people who are coming in new. We're on Spotify, and so we're getting some new listeners from Spotify. There's the new Google Podcast app, and people are finding us that way. And so, there are people who do go back and listen from the beginning. People we love to hear that. It's a little embarrassing, but
more like a lot embarrassing.
But cool. I mean,
yeah.
A binge listening of the 2 U's is a thing. My mom can't believe anybody would do that, but anyway, so introducing ourselves was something we had talked about doing, and this might be a good way to a fun way to talk to our listeners about who we are, using some of these prompts. So in our show notes, listeners, we have all the prompts for the all 28 days of February listed. And I listed both the February Challenge and the Yarn Love Challenge. And the Yarn Love Challenge was originated by Ravelry, and I tried to find who started the February Challenge, and I could not find it, so I can't give credit to whoever started it. But anyway, I think they're both really cool, and they would be really fun if I could get my Instagram act together. So, all right, so I'll start. Number 1 is the introduction. So I'm Kelly, and I just turned 57. And what else is important about me? I like to spin and knit and weave, as you already know. I also like to garden. And in fact, I already spent some time this morning pulling weeds because Robert had to take the chainsaw to a big giant branch that fell from a tree. So I was helping him pull pieces of branches away as he cut them, and in between that I was out pulling weeds. So that's some facts about me. What about you, Marsha?
I have to say my age.
No. I just said mine because I just had a birthday. You do not. That's not a rule.
So my name is Marsha, and I will say my age. I turned 61 in December, this past December. And about me, I live in Seattle, the Ballard neighborhood. I have one son, Ben, who's 21, one dog who's 3, one ex-husband who's 58, I think. And we get along fine. Everything's very peaceful and good between us. So we have a good relationship now. It took work, but now we're good. What else? What did you say when you're not knitting?
Yeah, go ahead and do the next one. Number 2, when I'm not knitting.
Well, when I'm not knitting, I'm spinning. And when I'm not spinning, I'm running around frantically trying to get caught up on housework and bill paying and all this stuff. No. Because I find that it is, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. You get sort of engrossed in it and just like one more row. Oh, I'll just get to this part,
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I do a lot of gardening and cooking. I do dog-related things. We do a lot of, the dog, Enzo, goes on walks with me. We're doing agility, which I've talked about before. In fact, we just had our agility class today. And we do spend a lot of time at the beach and walking. Kelly, you and I used to do the distance walking. Mm-hmm. You're getting back into it. I'm trying to get back into it, but it's been a little bit of a slow start with the weather. But anyway, yeah. How about my first project? What was your first project?
So my first project, oh my gosh, my first knitting project was a hat that I made out of hand-spun Cotswold, because I was a spinner before I was a knitter. I made it for Robert. It was a little short, didn't come over his ears, and it was just a roll brim hat, and it was a lot itchy. And he had a shaved head, so he wore the hat a lot, but it sort of looked like a beanie, like like a kid's beanie that needed like a propeller on top. It was about that shape. And it really made his head itch. So I wasn't much of a knitter to start off with. But my first like major knitting project was it was the 1958 pattern and the yarn Tess yarn silk that I bought at Stitches. Oh my gosh, maybe in 2000. And I started it back then, and then I put it away, and I didn't finish it until about 2010 because I just didn't have the knitting skill. I got started and then I got stuck. So that was the first project I started, but it took a while to finish.
My first project was a pullover sweater, and I still have it. And I finished the whole sweater, but I never sewed up the. What you did is, you knit the front and the back,
and then you sewed the sides.
Sew the shoulders together, and then you picked up stitches and knit the sleeves and knit down. And I had never sewn up the sleeves and the sides. So I did that, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I oh God, I hate this sweater. Because one sleeve is tighter than the other one. It's beautiful color, Kelly.
Is that the red one?
No, it's kind of a teal, like an aqua teal color. It's beautiful color. And I really like the yarn. In fact, I still like the yarn, so I've never gotten rid of this sweater. I just kept it thinking I will just repurpose the yarn.
Yeah, you should rip it out and repurpose the yarn.
Yeah, it's too pretty, and that's kind of a testament to the yarn that even after all these years, I still like it. And so I think I made that sweater when I first learned to knit, which is 84.
Yeah.
1984.
Wow.
So...
Yeah, I thought you were nuts when you first started knitting.
Well, I've told everybody this. When I took that knitting class, I didn't want anybody to know what I was doing because old ladies did that, and I was, a young woman.
I didn't think it was nuts because of that. Because my family, my mom, my aunts both knit. My grandmother crocheted. I mean, even when they were younger, they did that. It didn't seem like an old lady thing, but it seemed like it took forever. I was used to crafts that you finish things faster, and it seemed like it took forever. And then the exact thing you talked about, it takes forever, and you get done, and it doesn't fit, and you never wear it. And that was my view of knitting when I first, even before I started spinning. And when I started spinning, I was like, well, no, I'm not going to knit because everything you make takes forever, and then you get done and it doesn't fit. And why would you do that?
Well, and since I'm on this topic, I do have to mention this, that sweater, that first class I took in 84 was at a yarn shop that is still in town called Acorn Street Yarns. And when I took that class, it was so many years ago, it was located in the University Village. So if people who know Seattle, they know where that is. And Karen Aho was the owner of the shop. And so I took classes from her when she was down there in the University Village, and then she moved up to where the current shop is located now, on Northeast 55th. And she sold the shop a few years ago, and it just recently sold again. And my knitting friends, we got together in December, and Karen passed away in the middle of December. So I wanted to share that. I think people in the community here in Seattle area know this, but I just have to a shout out to Karen that she got me. She's the one who taught me to knit and got me started on this this journey.
Wow.
And here we are. How many years later I'm still knitting and knitting more than I ever have knitted because I have to keep the projects going because I have to have something to talk about in the podcast. But and I have to say too, she was so encouraging. There wasn't, she's one of those people. There wasn't anything that you couldn't do. Very, very positive and encouraging. So anyway, I just wanted to, I don't think I've talked about that before.
No.
I just wanted to say something because we are talking about my first project, and it makes me, every time I think about how I started knitting and my first project, I think of Karen. So
that's nice.
Anyway, yeah.
Your first project and your first knitting teacher.
Yeah. So, my current project. What's your?
Well, I already talked about my current project, so I'm just going to say the other prompt for the other challenge is snack. Oh my God! Aunt Betty made homemade from scratch brownies yesterday for Valentine's Day. They are so good. So that's my snack. Right now, that's my favorite snack.
Yeah, what's my favorite snack? I would say ice cream. But I'm not having that these days.
Yeah, well, and it's cold.
That doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't matter.
All right. So the next
prompt, how about
a podcast I love is To Use Fiber Adventures. No, there's lots of podcasts that I love. I am just going to put a shout out again to the Seen on Radio, Seeing White. They actually started replaying those episodes, so you don't have to go back and look in the past. If you subscribe now, you'll get those episodes, because I don't know if it's in the month of February or if they just are repeating that season, but they've been coming into my feed. So if you're interested in that, Seen on Radio, Seeing White series, it will be coming into your podcast if you subscribe into your app.
Okay.
What about you? You don't listen to a lot of podcasts, do you?
I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. But what I've been listening to though is the Louise Hunt's podcast.
Oh yeah, Caithness Craft Collective.
Yes, I've been listening to that rather obsessively.
I love that.
Yes, so that's the one I've been listening to.
All right.
Now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then number 6 is This Is My Fiber Family or Colorwork.
Well, all of the people listening are my fiber family. I started listening to podcasts and got interested in maybe doing a podcast really because I felt lonely for other knitters, around. I mean, you knit, but you live in Seattle, and none of my friends at work, none of the people that I interacted with on a daily basis, none of them had any kind of craft as a hobby. So I was knitting, but I was spinning, and there's a spinning guild, but I don't always get to go. It's on Saturday, and so I don't always make it. And so, I just didn't have a fiber community. So, so all the podcasters I listen to and all the listeners who contact me and the people who I follow on Instagram and the people I've met at Knockers and Stitches and the different Lambtown and all the different places. That's my fiber family.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say ditto. I would say the exact same thing. Yeah.
Okay, what's the next one?
Because, before I knit in isolation too.
That's a good way to say it, yeah. I really felt like I knit in isolation. Yeah. All right, so throwback
project or designer. So what does throwback project mean?
Like an
Is that
old
the one you
project? Or a project like a vintage? I made that vintage sweater. That 1958 lace sweater that I already talked about could be called a throwback project, I guess.
I thought throwback was what you knit over and over again. No.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to say that then.
Okay.
I'm going to say my throwback project is just the pattern that I knit over and over and over again.
Okay.
And that would just be my sock recipe.
Okay, yeah.
I knit the same sock over and over and over again. So, okay, knit or crochet or prep.
So I'm going to do the February challenge, knit or crochet question. Both. But crochet not very well. Well, I can't say that exactly. Because I've made sweaters too. Crocheted sweaters.
You've done a lot more crochet than I have.
I guess.
And more challenging projects too.
I feel a little self-conscious about my style of crochet, I guess. Because I hold
Aunt Betty says it looks like you're trying to kill the yarn.
I hold the crochet hook like you hold a knife, not like you hold a pencil. And then I like really stab my work. And I think I look very tense. And sometimes I feel tense when I crochet, but mostly not. I think I look more tense than I actually am when I'm crocheting. So I like them both, but I can knit without looking. I can't crochet without looking. So a crochet project is not a project that I can do like it's harder to do crochet like in the car or like watching a movie or like that. I have to concentrate more on crochet.
Yeah. I just wrote down knit. Okay, ninth on my Ravel. I can't say that. Ninth on my Ravelry queue or view.
I'm going to look at my Ravelry queue.
While you're looking at that, I'll tell you. Okay. I don't have a ninth. I only have 8 projects in my queue.
Holy cow. Okay, what's number 8?
Oh, yeah. What's number 8? Yeah. Oh, I don't even know what it is now. I didn't look it up.
Okay.
I mean, I looked it up, but now I...
Well, I'll tell you what's 9th on my queue. It's called Icarus by Leah Goldstein. It's in my library. Oh, I was going to use the long meadow that I already used for the summer tee that Janice gave me the pattern for. It was a nitty pattern from 2014, and it's a really pretty tee. And it has a lace back. The whole back of it is like a V of lace. And the front has lace and has just a little cap sleeve. Anyway, I put it in my queue a long time ago, March 20th, 2014. So it's been sitting in my queue for 5 years. And I haven't
I have
made
to
it.
laugh. So as I say, because I realize I don't use the queue. I just favorite things. And then when I want to make that I just go make it. Right. But anyway... So number 8 is, Kelly, you'll love this, Acorn Trail. Oh. The custom fit sweater that we did do.
And so then, you don't take it out of your queue when you've done it.
No, apparently I'm not using this the right way. You'll also love this, too. Number 7 is Vitamin D by
Heidi Kirrmaier. Oh, my goodness, yes.
So I'm not using my queue the right way, apparently. But anyway.
Well, this one's number 8 on my queue, and it's been there since 2014. So... apparently I'm not really using mine, but I like summer sweaters and summer tees, cotton and silk. I think maybe because it's worsted, it calls for worsted weight. Maybe that's why I've never made it, because that's not a type of yarn I typically have. A cotton summer yarn in worsted weight, but it's really pretty. I would like to make it someday. Okay.
Next. Coffee or tea or novelty?
So I'm going to choose the coffee or tea prompt. Coffee. Definitely coffee. I like the idea of tea. I sometimes have tea in the afternoon. I've got this one chai that I've been drinking recently. But no, I'm a coffee drinker through and through.
Yeah. I drink coffee in the morning, and then in the afternoon, like while we were recording, I had a cup of tea. So but tea in the morning doesn't work for me,
All right, the next one,
Okay.
fingering or bulky or whatever. I'm going to take that prompt.
It says or, and then there was or smell.
Yeah, smell is the prompt for the Yarn Love Challenge. I guess I'll take that one.
I'm going to take smell, but
Okay, go ahead.
Lanolin.
Yes.
Fleeces.
Yes.
Are we the same on that one?
We are definitely. That was in my mind
Okay.
too. It was going to be the smell of fleece. And I think there's two kinds of people in the world. There are the people who smell it and they get this sort of like, I don't know, what's the word for it? Sort of blissful expression on their face. And then there are people who smell it and go, ew. Those are the two kinds of people in the world.
Yes.
I bet you could.
And we know who we are. We know which group we're in,
I'm
right?
in the blissful group, yes.
Okay, favorite color or worn?
I'm going to take worn. And I'm going to say I love my worn out things like my bag lady sweater. And I have a blanket, a flannel blanket that was my baby blanket that a couple of years ago my mom cleaned out stuff and she gave it to me. And I washed it up and I have it on the bed and I wear it as a shawl over my shoulders when I'm in bed reading. And it's at that perfect like softness level, where something's just worn. And then I have a couple of flannel shirts that are at that perfect softness level. And yeah, worn. That's good.
I'm going to say color, and that's red.
Yes.
I like red. Okay, knitfluencer, I love, or publication.
Well, I'm going to say knitfluencer I love, just because when I started getting back into knitting, how I actually found Ravelry, I think, was I met someone who talked to me about I had some knitting with me and I started talking to somebody and they told me about knitting blogs. And so I started reading the Brooklyn Tweed blog, Jared Flood's blog. And then from there I found other blogs, and from there I found other blogs, and that's how I found out about Ravelry and got on Ravelry. I think that was sometime in like around April of 2008, I think, was when that happened. So yeah, so I wouldn't have found Ravelry if I hadn't read that first knitting blog. And I never even knew there was such a thing. But the first knitting blog that I read was Brooklyn Tweed. Before there was Brooklyn Tweed yarn.
I would pick the knitfluencer category also, and I think you would be the knitfluencer because you introduced me to Ravelry and podcasts. I also wrote down here that you introduced me to the whole concept of knitting a T-shirt. I never would have thought ever. I always thought knitting was for cold climates. You needed knitwear in cold climates. I never had even the concept that you would actually knit something for warm weather. The two didn't seem like they went together at all. Knitwear and hot weather. So, so I've made 4 T-shirts or something, and I have a pattern for another linen T-shirt that I want to make.
Yeah, you made 2 Edie's, right? And then
2 Edie's.
You made one that other one that was like coming up from the back and around the front, down the front or something. Interesting.
Yes, I did that one. And then I did another just T-shirt that has some, I can't remember, I never can remember the name of it, but it's got like
it's the
lace
summer,
on the
it's
yoke.
that summer tweed, easy summer tweed or something.
Something like that. Yeah. And then I made the same one that you made, is it Savannah? No.
Yeah.
What's the one
no.
I made out of that?
Summer Fjord.
Havana? Summer Fjord, yeah. And then also the combo spin. Well, the whole spinning thing you got me into. I can blame you for that. And then also the combo spins, because you mentioned combo spin. I'm like, what's that? And now.
And then down the rabbit hole she
Yeah.
went.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Anyway.
Fun. Oh, that's nice.
So 14 is yarn love or love.
So right.
And what is yarn love?
So right
yarn
now.
we love?
Yeah. So right now, the yarn I love is the Dragonfly Dance Rustic Silk.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the nicest yarn for a summer, for a summer garment, for a tee.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm just trying to think of what yarn I've really enjoyed knitting with. I really enjoyed knitting with the Neighborhood Fiber Company.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
I enjoyed knitting with our Rambouillet.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I've not started the sweater yet, or I've cast on for the sweater, but this Crofts, the Shetland, I'm enjoying just the swatch I did.
Be honest, Marsha, you love it all.
Well, I love it all. Well, let me just say there's some things I don't like, and I can be honest about that. It's like, so this scarf that I'm making for my brother,
right,
with the alpaca.
That's all different strands.
I can't even think of the name of it. Yeah, it's not plied. It's like 4 singles that are not plied. They're just held together, and I do not like knitting with that because it splits. Yeah. So.
All right.
So there's some I like, and pretty much anything wool I like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as big and not that I don't like knitting with cotton, but there is something about wool that is just yummy and luscious, so that I like. Okay, and number 15 is cheer or designer love.
So, because I'm wanting to branch out in designers, and because I'm at a point where I only have really 2 active projects and I'm searching, I'm going to go ahead with cheer. And I'm actually going to call it Cheers. So I like bourbon.
Okay, Kelly, we think alike because that's what I was going to say.
And Scotch.
Yes, I like Scotch. I like Manhattans.
Mm-hmm.
Not a huge martini fan, but I like my Manhattans.
Yeah.
I like my bourbon, and I like my Scotch. Okay, let's wait a minute. And I don't want to answer the door. And Craig, don't judge my basement.
Don't judge my garden.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, Kelly, number 16, knit PJ party or join. I have to tell you, I don't know what a knit PJ party is. Is that where I have to knit with a bunch of people in my pajamas?
Yes. I think that's what it would be.
Then that would be a no. I'm going to pick join.
Okay.
And what have I joined recently? I just joined the Northwest Regional Spinners Association.
Oh, cool.
So I would pick join.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a pajama party at Stitches. I haven't ever gone. I think it's on Friday night, where people all just meet in one of the, like at the landing level. Maybe they have a couple of the rooms that they use for classes, and they have a pajama party. But I haven't ever gone. Maybe we should go this year.
No, I'll go to the party, but I don't want to wear my pajamas.
You don't want to wear your pajamas.
Yeah, I need new pajamas if I'm going to go to that. You're talking about your cotton sweater that you like, your bag lady sweater. Okay, there we go.
Yes.
So now that's all I need to say about that.
Okay. So for me, I'm going to pick join too. And I'm just going to say, I love spit splicing.
Oh, that's a good join. Yes. Yeah, I would agree. That's a pretty good one. Yeah.
When you can do it.
When you can do it, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 17 is Sunday Fun Day or ink. Now, I'm assuming ink means tattoos.
I guess.
So I'm going to say no. I'm not. I don't have any, and not interested in having any. So Sunday Fun Day. I don't know what that is.
Do you have something you normally do on Sunday?
No, I'm going to say.
Marsha doesn't have fun on Sunday.
I have no fun. Well, actually, it's the truth is Monday through Friday, I kind of do my own thing, and sometimes I'll take a day to myself to do knitting or spinning or whatever. And it's the weekends I'm really busy with my brother getting involved with projects around the house.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I'm going to say my Sunday fun day does not happen on Sunday. It happens on Saturday. And Saturday we often have Saturday dinner with a group of people. My brother and my friend Kim, my friend Gary, Ben, and his friends occasionally have dinner on Saturday nights. So it's my Sunday fun day, but it's on Saturday. And I really enjoy those meals. It's fun getting together.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with fiber.
No, it doesn't have to. It's just about people getting to know us.
Yeah. Because I like having dinners and dinner parties and cooking until I get resentful. Up until the point that I get resentful.
and that switch flips fast.
Oh, it's funny.
One day she's fine, and the next day, no. I'm actually joking. I have not experienced a fast flipping switch with Marsha. Just so everyone knows.
No. Oh, but it is true that sometimes I can feel a little put out about when things are thrust upon me that I have to do.
Well,
that.
yeah.
Anyway, okay.
No, that everybody's like that. I think that's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Okay, so my favorite way to have Sunday is to not even get dressed. That's one of my favorite ways. I really like to just be in my robe until late on Sunday if I can do it. But the other thing, I'm trying to shift my thinking now because I'm doing the distance walking training, and Sunday is my long walk day. And so I'm trying to remind myself of how much fun it was to have a couple, 2, 3, and then toward the end, 4 or 5 hours on the trail on Sunday, walking. So my next long walk supposed to be this Sunday. My long walk this Sunday is supposed to be 10 miles. So I'm getting up there in the mileage for the long one, and I'm still not to the place where, I think because of the weather. I mean, don't get me wrong. You heard me complain about California's drought. You heard me talking about how much we needed rain, but I'm only human. This rain, we have had so much. And I think that's part of what has got me not sort of in the mode of, oh, good, it's my long walk day, because it's just hard to get out there when it's rainy, and especially when it's cold and rainy, because usually if we have rain, we don't have super bitter cold, and that's what we've had lately.
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying to get myself back to that feeling, trying to remember what that felt like to be so happy to be packing up my water bottles and getting in the truck and driving off to Fort Ord to walk for hours. So, because that really was it was a very, very much my Sunday fun day. So let's hope that I can get back to that feeling. So.
Okay, number 18 is project bag or art.
Yes, and this is going to be our last one, because this is probably, this episode will go out either the 17th or 18th, and it's getting a little long. So, and then we'll pick back up the rest of them and bore you with the rest of our information in the next episode. So, okay, project bag or art. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to pick project bag. And what I like about my project bags is when I've knitting early on, I didn't have a project bag. It was always just I would throw it in a plastic bag or something. So I really like the luxury of having a project bag. It just feels luxurious to me instead of just throwing it in a plastic bag. And then I also like the project bags I have, because everyone that I've bought, or I was... do you remember one year at the Knockers Retreat?
Was it Robbie?
Robbie, yes. She had all these project bags. She just walked around giving them out. So I took 2.
Yeah.
And I love them. And so what I like about project bags is a nice remembering where you bought it. Like I bought a really interesting knit project bag at the Edinburgh Yarn Fest I have the 2 from Robbie. Stitches, I think I've bought a project bag at Stitches. I bought a project bag when we were together when you came up in January. We went to St. Distaff Day.
So I'll go a little different way. I have one project bag that I actually made. It's a drawstring tote bag that I made when I was in, I want to say 5th grade, I think. It was from the fourth or 5th grade. Maybe it was 4th grade. It was when I first started in 4-H. And I made this tote bag, and it's embroidered. And I embroidered the zodiac signs. Came out of a Family Circle magazine, one of those women's magazines that my mom had. So they had like the transfers, the iron-on transfer patterns inside of the magazine. And I couldn't put all 12 on the tote bag, sides, that they wouldn't fit. So I picked Aquarius, which is mine, and then all the ones with animals, and then Gemini. I think I picked Gemini. I don't know why I picked Gemini. I guess because I thought it was cute. So I have that bag. I made it to be a tote bag to use to take my... Okay, now it's pouring. I don't know. This is going to be the noisiest episode. It's just funny how many noises there have been, and maybe nobody's going to be able to hear them at all, but this is just amazing to me. It's so loud in the garage now because it's pouring outside. Oh dear. So getting back to the project bag, I made it, and I wanted to use it as a bag to carry books, right, back and forth to school, a tote bag. But I entered it in the fair. So I made it, finished it, entered it in the fair. The fair's in the summer. Like the early part of the summer was our fair. It got first place. And then in 4-H, they took all the first place ones and they brought them to the state fair. So then it went to the state fair, which was not until, I think it was like in late September. In those days, it was like in mid to late September. So I didn't get this thing back until, our 4-H project leader brought it and then brought them back. And then I didn't get it until, 1 or 2 meetings, 4-H meetings had gone by before I finally got this thing back. And I got a first place. So I get it back, and it's the next school year, and it's well into the school year. And now this thing has 2 ribbons. And, of course, nobody thinks I should actually use it to put my books in and go to school. So I never used it. And then I don't know when it was, but I was going through stuff. It was about the same time that I was going through stuff and found that old baby blanket and washed it and put it as a shawl on my bed. I washed it up, and I thought, I'm using this thing as a project bag. So it's not like it gets, a ton of use, but I'm finally using it.
It's very cute, because you had it at Black Sheep last June. And I was commenting on it because it's very cute.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was fun to work on, and it kind of made me mad that everybody wouldn't let me use it after it went to both fairs. But so that's the first half, or a little bit more than half, of the month of February.
And we'll pick up in 2 weeks on that.
We do have a little bit of business before we end. So a couple of weeks ago, right before our episode went out, I got a message from someone that we actually got mentioned on CBS Sunday morning news show, our podcast. They were doing a show about podcasting, and it was one of those things where the one person says, yeah, podcast, they have podcasts about everything, like, oh, what about knitting? You could just put in knitting. What do you get? And they listed the podcast, and we were one of those podcasts. So that was really super exciting to hear about that. And then yesterday I got an email from Toby from the website allfreeknitting.com, emailed me and said, while doing some updating, refreshing of the content on our site, I decided to overhaul our list of the top 10 knitting podcasts, and we chose your podcast for our list.
Yay!
I know. So we're now listed as one of the top 10 knitting podcasts on the All Free Knitting website, and they're going to be promoting their website is there now. It's updated. If you go to allfreeknitting.com, you can see it, and we'll have a link to it in the show notes. But they're going to actually start officially promoting it on Wednesday, February 20th. So I just wanted to share that out with our listeners. Take a look. I was really excited to see that Vivian and Allison from Keep Calm and Carry Yarn were on the list. I don't know if I've told you about their podcast, but the Vivian, the mother, she lives in New Hampshire, and her daughter Allison lives in Edinburgh. And so they go to the Edinburgh Yarn Fest. In fact, they've been talking about going.
You have mentioned them. Yes,
so
I do remember this. Yeah,
it's really fun. I like to listen to them. The mother and daughter combo is really a fun podcast, and I was really excited to see them on the list. They haven't been around as long, say, as the Yarniacs or the Knitmore Girls or Two Knitlit Chicks. You know, they're a newer show. Oh my gosh, the rain! It's pouring outside. So anyway, very exciting. I want to just say thank you to all of our listeners and subscribers. The reason our podcast comes up in search as high as it does is because of the number of people who are subscribed on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher and those other podcast apps. And so, you know, when people do a search for knitting podcasts, they see ours, and that's all because of our listeners subscribing. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Very cool. All right. Well, I think that's most of the business. Marsha, where are you going to be? We have events coming up. Did you want to talk about?
Yes. Well, I mentioned I'm going to be at the at Madrona Fiber Arts this weekend, and so if you see a middle-aged woman wearing hand knits, that's me.
Okay, that will make you stand out for sure.
And then the following weekend, we're going to be, was it the 21st through 24th? We'll be at Stitches West in Santa Clara. And then, let me look at my notes here. Then I'm going to be, I'm taking a class. Last episode I mentioned the class, but I couldn't remember the actual name of the class. So let me just tell everybody. It's called Beyond Braids, Color Management for Spinners, and it's going to be over in Port Gamble, Washington. And I've been to Port Gamble, but I've never, I think, eaten there or done much there. So it'll be fun to be there. It's going to be an all-day event. I have to flip through this is bad podcasting. I'm sorry.
That's all right. A little page flipping can't compete with the pouring rain, the laundry, and the hair shaving.
Well, this whole episode, we've not been very good, I have to say.
We're keeping it real.
So April 6th and 7th is the 48th annual Whitby Weaver Spin-In. That's both Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 4. I'm not 100% sure I'm going, but I'm about 95% sure I'm going. I think I may, what I was sort of planning on doing is just going and spending the night. And then I think that's what I have coming up. And then, of course, we have the Knockers Retreat at the end of April. And but that's it, just the thing in the next few weeks here that I thought I would just mention.
Cool.
So, okay. I guess that's it. We will talk in 2 weeks.
Actually, you and I will talk sooner than that. Oh, you know what?
Yes, I'm
gonna make this announcement, because then we're going to be held accountable. Marsha and I are going to do live Instagramming sometime during the weekend of Stitches. We're going to do an Instagram live. So look for us. Look for it on Instagram. If you don't see it live, it'll be there for a while for you to see in the Instagram stories. But we're gonna do some live Instagramming at Stitches West.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It will be fun. All right.
Yeah. Okay, that's it then. Okay. We'll talk. I'll see you on the 21st.
Okay. Bye.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
Doing our part for World Fleece.